Today I want to talk about using vocal distortion and false chord screaming and like distortion in general, grit and screams in very creative ways. And to do that, I wanted to look over Vatang's cover of Human and use that kind of as a starting point. But just to know that you're not stuck in just you're not stuck in that or yo, yay! We're not stuck there. Those are just sounds that you typically hear, and they're great to learn to do, but there are so many more options that we have than just that. So I want to bring up Vatang. He's a beatboxer that is a great singer as well, and I'm here with Chris Fox and Draven Gray. We just want to talk about this for a while and see what we can glean from it and help you guys experiment with your own voice. So Chris, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm actually excited to see this. You said this guy was a beatboxer, right? Like a competitive beatboxer?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of things, and I've heard some of these guys are freaks. Like, I know, getting creative with distortion and making like stuff like that, and a little bit of
no.
Yeah, or like Jonathan Davis, boom, I'm Naima,
yeah,
that stuff. But I may have seen. I think I looked up this guy in a competition before because how the hell does he do that? So I'm ready. I'm ready to see this because I like this song.
And let's see. I'm making sure this is the way we need it. This is technically fair use because we're doing commentary and education. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
We could dive straight into it, but honestly, I want to talk a little bit more first about how things like this apply across the board, because we were talking earlier about different vocalists making some weird ass noises that aren't typical for most people.
Yes.
And you mentioned Will Ramos. Can you go into that a little bit?
Well, I mean, immediately the first thing that everybody's going to think is the Into the Hellfire. Like I said, he's literally, it sounds like he's hacking a loogie before he goes into this like tunnel throat high shriek, like definitely he's like the Fry King, but it's definitely like like I'm just hacking a loogie, and literally everybody now is just like doing these weird vocal Olympics where there's the joke about screaming, which is clearing your throat with style. It literally sounds like these guys are doing that. And it's ridiculous, but
well, if you're relaxed enough, that makes sense too. And if you think of other vocalists, like you have, I'm trying to think of a few here. Their names are escaping me. But Tatiana, for instance, from Ginger, and we talked about that a little bit earlier too, but how she has a high singing voice, but can make these like brutal lows, and that's not coming from squeezing everything out, or it would still sound very high and tinny, like her singing voice tends to be.
Yeah.
But that's coming from completely relaxing everything.
Completely different shape.
Brutal. Will Ramos is interesting, like seeing Chris Lepe and him team up, and how they scoped him while he was screaming, and his entire vocal track twists.
Yeah.
So his vocal cords became an S shape. It was so weird. I've never seen that before. And I've been scoped before. I've seen it under high-speed microscope. What am I saying? High-speed camera and a scoping before. I think Melissa Cross did that, or she did it under a high-speed camera to show that the vocal cords never actually fully close. They just do this.
Yeah.
So when you're going, yeah, they're like, and I know this is audio too, so I got to describe what I'm doing. So they're not fully closing; they're just touching one end or the other, or they're oscillating in a way to where there's always an opening, always. So there's always air coming through, and never fully close. And like when you would go, hey, like you would see them actually close and open and close and open. They would oscillate, but you would get full closure in that a lot, or full, what is that? Vocal cord adduction. Where screams and most distortion, they tend to stay open.
Is that adduction or abduction?
Adduction.
Oh,
Abduction.
Okay, I was about to say.
Yeah, you're not abducting your vocal cord.
Well, if so, I would like a copy of Christina Aguilera's vocal cords, please.
Seize the vocal cords. No. That's really funny. All right. Is I know I brought you on because you're a screamer a lot. Like I know you can do grit as well, but I mostly heard you scream and sing cleans.
Yeah.
There are some things we're about to go over that also involve grit, so this will be interesting to try them out and see what we're feeling and talk about how to do certain things. And if either of us are struggling with it, let's feed off each other and see if we can teach each other a little bit in this too.
Absolutely.
Why not? I think it'd be good for our listeners just to be able to hear us go through that and our own struggles, even though we're both vocal coaches and we're performers, like to hear us struggle with it too and to hear us go through all this. But anyway, let's get started. Vatang, human, and I'll pause it now and then, but
yeah,
just to talk a little bit about it. This is in a couple of parts. It's only a couple minutes long, but the first part, listen for how he's singing, but there's certain things he keeps adding to it that make it more rhythmic, that are truly in the false chords. We'll talk about this as we go. Let's get started. Oh, okay. that alone, like what? Okay, just remember this is a beatboxer. We are not trying to beatbox here. We're trying to focus on the distortion. But that I don't exactly know how he's doing that. I'm not a beatboxer.
Like there's like a like old school techno kind of like that I want to do, but I know that's not right. And I'm just what?
I don't know if he's going gugs or duds or what, but I know it's a tongue movement, and I know that because I used to play reeded instruments, and that's exactly how we made that type of sound. He's a master at it. But he went from that into, and I'm going to back up a little bit again. But going, however he does that, and going, and I'm not doing it correctly right now because I think he's actually getting more false chord, which I'm not. I'm doing terrible at the moment, man. I warmed up for this. All right. But those are the things. Just I wanted to stop a sec so people are actually listening for that. He keeps going back to that. Like all these different sounds in the false chords. So listen for that throughout and how he'll even cut off words to go to that sound to keep it more rhythmic. And this would be so cool to integrate into metal. This would be so cool. But all right, let's go for it.
Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind, thinking I can see through this and see what's behind. See what's behind. But I'm only human, after all. But I'm only human, after all. Don't put your blessing on me.
Like what?
Yeah.
There is some, I think there may be some throat singing in there as well, though. Like he's just a low singer.
Yeah. I'm too much of a tenor for those noises. Oh my goodness.
I hear some of the I can't even do it, man. That's low. And I've had somebody else mention that he reminds him of like the Russian bass singers. I forget exactly what that's called, but
I think I've seen videos of those.
Dude, such low resonance. And he is Georgian. Like he lives in the capital of the old USSR or whatever the capital of Georgia from, I don't remember. I looked it up. It mentioned the USSR, sense. But he's Georgian. He's from on the edge of Persia. The throat singing makes sense. And that whole area, learning the bass singing and stuff, I can totally see that. But some of those really lows, I'm keeping my mouth closed. I'm basically just going. That is what I call demon speech. But I want to get into it further because you're going to hear him use it.
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
The next part. And I think this will help you understand it better because we're doing terrible. We don't have effects on our voice like he does. He has like a little bit of delay, a lot of reverb. So it's making him sound huge.
Yeah.
And a lot of compression.
I want his sound engineer's phone number. Just
so people know, too, the mic he's using in this video for Human is not the mic he recorded on. It's very, very unlikely.
I think I've seen other videos of him with an SM7B like yours.
Yeah.
And like even then, I think he's like just like cupping over it. And
he's right on top of it for sure. And if there's a lot of compression, it's bringing out a lot of his voice and a lot of the tone that you wouldn't hear if he wasn't over compressed.
Definitely.
Let's keep going. So you're gonna hear this. I'm only human. All right, let's go for it.
I'm not a human. I'm not a human. Don't want to blame.
Stop it. I'm not a human. That's you're totally right here. I'm not a human.
I'm not a human.
So that's more like you've been smoking too much. You're on top of the throat. Hey, I'm not a human.
I'm not a human.
There you go. And he tends to pull it forward from what I'm hearing, more into the hyoid or the arytenoid, if people have been studying distortion, arytenoid distortion, where you pull it forward, where you would make a where you make that sound, especially as you bring that up. I'm a human. That's totally that area where you're up and forward, but it's still light. None of this is forced. If it was, it would just grind.
So it's more of a kind of like an vowel sound, like I'm only human.
I'm only human. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm only human. Or I'm not a human is how he said it. And then he goes, man, he's a low singer. I'm not a human. That's funny, man.
Yeah.
That to me, that's I will get you, Inspector Gadget. Like it's totally Dr. Claw.
That's all I'm hearing too.
And he has this low resonance. Again, I think a lot of that's from compression, but I'll see if I can get him to answer some of this too. But don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me. So he's mixing it on me. I don't have that coordination, man. That's trained.
Don't want to blame on me.
That's interesting.
So do you think the vowel changes are helping the specific like shifts in his voice?
I think. Hold on. I'm only human. There it is. I got it now. It's low, but I'm only human. But it's very forward. I'm only human. Don't put your blame on me. I can't switch back and forth like him. That is insane.
Yeah.
Only you don't want to blame.
That's weird. But dude, okay, let's apply this before we get into the meat of what he's about to do. So I'm hearing the low, which I can't do because he's way lower singer than I am. Like you're talking, wow. Like I can sing a C1, but getting down lower, is that C? That's C2, and an A1 maybe. And I know this is below your range, man, but he's like G1. I can do it for a split second, and then it's gone. So I have to use more false chord for that.
Yeah,
that is demon speech. I'll let him get into it a little bit more, and then we'll talk about how to actually make that sound.
Yes, please.
That's a very particular spot, and these low, like he's going between that I'm not a human, that position, down to to get those really low bass notes. What I can't do at all is switch back and forth as fast as he does. As you heard him, he would say, I'm only you, like that.
Well, no, there was another part where he just like, I'm only you, boom, and like made like a lip clapping noise or something. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, he's making some weird noises in here, but it's movement. It's going from the I can't do it that fast. And
yeah.
Up to the, like he's making all sorts of weird, weird noises and back and forth. And this is right where he goes crazy. Let's do it.
Coming on out.
it. Holy crap. Okay. I can't do that. Like switching back and forth, not going to happen.
But like, I love how he's doing those guitar noises because like you think about it, it'd be like, oh, but he's, you know, adding a little distortion, closing his mouth, and then pursing his lips. So he's like really depending on
So
it.
yeah, he's opening his jaw, pursing his lips, and a lot of it's going through the nose. A lot of it, which is giving it a little bit more air. And that position, so everyone knows, which probably takes a little while to get it to sound more like a guitar, especially with the reverb and stuff he's putting on it, so it sounds bigger anyway. But he's just going, like that. That's really all he's doing there.
It almost sounds like kind of like blues grit, but like just a different, slightly, maybe a little tenser of a shape. And you know, with blues grit, you have that whole like you kind of have to sound like Kermit the Frog.
But I don't hear the epiglottis. Like I don't hear that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't hear that Kermit-esque quality. It could be the same shape, but there's something else going on.
I think he's in an AW more than the Kermit the Frog. So
AW.
So it goes back to the pharynx. It goes to the back of the mouth, and it rounds it out. So you feel this AW like aw type feel, and a little bit more cry, a little bit more, I guess, whimper, or you could say maybe a little bit of yawn. That area is what's opening up.
Yawn, yes.
So everything's opening in the back. And you hear that in his singing voice.
Yeah. Watch his jawline as he's doing it. Like he's really like, even though his mouth is closed, he's pursing his lips and like really going for a vertical embouchure.
Yeah, he is.
As he's doing it.
He's really opening the jaw.
I've noticed that a lot more when doing distortion or screaming, that there's more emphasis on a vertical embouchure than a horizontal embouchure.
That's part of the cry, for sure. With that sound, if you're wanting to recreate it, I would go to overcried voice to where you have a little bit of awe, a little bit of openness from the yawn. It's all in the back. And you can hear that in his voice. Maybe I'm foolish, maybe I'm blind. He's open in the back.
He sounds like he's really whimpering into those notes.
Yeah, but since it's lower and it's light, it doesn't sound as whimpered. Maybe I'm foolish. Like that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
But when you add mass, or you add throttle to being in that area where you're overcried, if I was doing that, if I do that light,
just like
if I'm
saying,
there and I add throttle, which I still know how to do distortion. I'm still closing off just a little bit of constriction in the front, just a little bit of a tiny, tiny bit. Everything else is that shape in the back.
I can hear that awe that you're talking about now. So definitely more awe. Not the Kermit the Frog, which is probably more like an AE.
Yeah.
That sounded more like James Hetfield, but I think
this is
you know
more
what I
in
mean.
the back. And then close the mouth, open the jaw. I still can't switch back and forth that fast.
Dude, yeah.
Holy crap. I backed it up a little bit.
I'm not a human.
Okay, let's hear that. Let's hear that again.
Yeah.
Smile 10.
Oh,
Is that an inhale or is it?
to me, he's lifting the back of the tongue like you would with the, well, it makes sense for that region too. Reminds me of Hebrew. The CH that's at the back of the mouth. It's such a weird distortion sound, man, because it's only using the tongue. Oh, yeah.
I'm not a human. I'm only human. I'm only human.
I can't get on that pitch. This is low, but
I'm only human.
that's hard.
Yeah.
Again, that's going. So let's move to that. Let's move to that just for a second, since everybody's heard him do it now. Real quick, I want to let you know about our Rock Singing Success community. If you want a place to discuss this topic further or other topics, a place where you can improve your voice and your music career with courses and other resources, and even have a community of like-minded singers and rock and metal that are on the same path, those that support each other and encourage each other along the way, then join us at school.com/rocksingingsuccess. And that's SKOOL.com/rocksingingsuccess. That position, and what's going to be interesting here is we have very different voices, Chris. So
Yeah.
I have a baritone voice with a slight bass extension. This guy's like full on bass. You tend to be more of a tenor-like voice, like it's brighter and higher than mine in general.
Tenor, countertenor, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't like categorizing the voice other than to say sound color.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, there is a little bit on the low range that you lose when you're a tenor versus a baritone, but the upper range doesn't even matter. You and I can both sing whistle tones. Like we can go crazy high. So, but I have a larger vocal tract, so I have more of the lower overtones, where you have a smaller vocal tract, which makes you brighter than what I can do in that range. So this will be really interesting hearing you try to do this. It's low voice like this. I'm only human. That's and you don't want to do it hard. Everybody listening, do not do that hard.
No.
It grinds.
It does. It's very easy to grind.
And I want to say Alex Terrible, who does that voice in the same area I'm talking about, where it's really forward, it's pure false chord. He said it took him 12 years to get that loud. 12 years, over a decade. So I can say even just to do what I just did took me at least 6 months to get to turn it into a scream.
Disclaimer: I don't practice this type of distortion, like false chord engagement like this. I'll mess mostly with fry, a little bit of false chord for gutturals, but like this, like demon speech, this is way out of my league. So I'm excited. Let's see how this goes.
And I can say also, your mic doesn't have a lot of low end.
No, it does not. Yeah.
So it's not capturing those low overtones very much at all, if at all.
I'm going to sound like a little boy with a cold.
So, yeah, you got a couple things working against you here. Your mic doesn't capture a lot of low end, and you have a higher, a brighter voice already. So this guy, I can't even do those.
Yeah, I think he's a straight bass, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so what we're going to get into that position, if you close your mouth, it has a little bit more tone to it too. Where are you right now? You're actually starting to do it. So how would you describe what you're doing?
It's definitely, it's a very slow kind of, it's the pursing of the lips that helps.
Okay.
Honestly, it's weird, but like that was one realization I came to when I was having issues with gutturals for the longest time, is like, oh, I just need to purse my lips and think more of the ooh, ooh.
Okay, so you're super light. You're still riding that edge of fry, which is actually a really good thing because it relaxes this position a bit.
Yeah.
There was something Mark from Kardashev Academy, or Kardashev, it's his band, that he said in one of his videos, because he likes that bark. Like that's his scream.
Yeah.
And he said this one thing, I wish I could remember what it was. It's been a couple of years now where I did not know how to do that. And he said one thing, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. I think he mentioned something of like a burp. It's like, if you're in the front, if you're in that area, which activates false chords already, and you go light and try to just close it off like a grunt, and then pull it forward more. No. My larynx is as low as I can get it, and I'm pulling forward to it. But close it off like going. So if you stop the breath in that position and then release it into a grunt,
That's
you feel that in the
weird.
front. I know it's weird, but release it forward. Release it forward. It's not relaxing it. It's going forward.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice it now.
You're going. Yep. There you go. Don't do it hard. Don't do it hard. It will grind.
Oh no, I'm just on the line. I'm just on the line.
So if you can get to that area and try to relax down into it, you could get into this speech. I call it demon speech.
I can get into this speech. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a more
Okay, so right now you're
get into this speech.
you're actually a little bit higher up than I am.
Right here.
Relax it, man. You're squeezing a lot, and that's giving you an accent. There you go.
There we. Oh, I had to really it's like flatlining,
Yep.
almost barely. It's complete relaxation. That's weird. Oh, that felt good.
That's where you start. That's where you start. You can always get it louder over time once you get a good feel for the position it's in. That is so relaxed.
I can feel the back of my tongue vibrating.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's interesting. Wow.
I'm only human.
He's squeezing a little bit higher when he does that, but
It's still a really low false chord.
like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, definitely. This is interesting because I'm realizing how much I depend on fry screen positions now, and this is really kind of turning all my ideas around and making me want to mess with this more. Because when I completely relax, I start to notice that I get the pitch and it starts to go in the right spot. But it takes
Yep.
a lot of work and a lot of adjustments to get there.
And what's interesting of this is that sound where you're getting super relaxed, and you're starting to get a little bit more of the fry feeling in it to relax it. The place that you stabilize it is actually on top of the throat. So you're trying to find that balance between squeezing, like getting a little bit more constriction, and opening up to a lower position that's more towards a fry. It's like you're going two different directions. It's one thing that's hard about all distortion is you feel like you're going two different places at once.
Yep.
So you have this that's your stability area, and you have this that is more your relaxation area. What's the middle point? It's a weird shape, man. It's a weird shape.
Yeah, it is.
So you're elongating your vocal tract between the false chords and the true chords. You're pulling that, elongating it. And I still feel like I'm kind of doing this into my voice just a little bit to get that stretched out.
Oh, I can hear that. I know what you're talking about.
But instead of focusing all the time, which he goes back and forth with this, instead of focusing all the time on the pitch, on singing it, I'm only human. Like I can get some pitch in that. I'm only human. But he's not staying there. Those low, I'm not singing it. That's not singing.
Yeah.
That's getting a certain vibration of the false chords to get a pitch, not the true chords. That's fun to mess with. And I actually even know another guy that's not even in metal or anything like that I've heard mess with that. It's kind of fun to watch him do.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to extend my range and I'm figuring out this stuff. Like, dude, how did you do that? And this is a guy who sings as bright as you do. And it's like, I'm like, okay, so you're never going to be able to sing down here. And he goes, I'm like, dude, seriously?
I'd just be like, get out. Get out.
It's like that? And like, oh man, come on.
Oh my God. But yeah, this is insane because I see the guitar stuff though. Like that I kind of can understand, but like even then it's still sounding kind of bluesy on my end. Like, God, this guy would he would be a killer death metal vocalist.
And to be able to use that with your mouth shut, dude, why only make normal distorted sounds at that point? If you can do that, I actually, this is really funny because I used to go to a lot of concerts for free. Actually, I don't know the last time I paid for a concert. I've always gone with friends. And they took me to see Celine Dion. Like, I saw a lot of artists I would never actually see normally. And like, yeah, free tickets to Celine Dion? Let's go.
That's a no-brainer.
And she did this thing between her guitarist and her where he would play a lead part and she would sing it. And they started battling. And she was doing that. Like things like that. Dude, that was badass to see them go back and forth.
That woman's a beast.
And you mentioned the guy from Police Academy too, doing stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a video of him on a talk show doing some Led Zeppelin. What was it? I think it was Whole Lotta Love or Rock and Roll. I don't remember which one, but yeah, he's doing all the guitar distortion and singing Robert Plant's parts, just like absolutely killing it.
Cool. That's Michael Winslow.
Michael Winslow, that's his name.
Yeah, someone wants to look that up. Michael Winslow, Led Zeppelin. There's some cool stuff that comes up with him anyway. But even going as far as Bobby McFerrin, the guy who wrote Don't Worry, Be Happy, and some of the stuff he does with his voice, it's amazing. He's not even a beatboxer. He just likes making sounds. Yeah.
Oh, that was all him? Even the lower parts? Don't worry.
Yep. All of it.
What the hell, dude?
Yeah. So there is a lot of distortion out there that people don't think of as distortion normally too. But let's keep going. We're running long here, so let's keep going. And then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
My opinion lures me to lie. Then beg for forgiveness for making you cry.
For making you cry. For making you cry. That switch, man. Can I point out something there?
I'm not a human.
He lost it. Right here. He lost it. He went to singing in air instead of the false chord.
Yeah, that was a slick save.
He was right here again, and that he's in that spot again. So he's definitely messing with the top of the false chords to the bottom of them, like moving the larynx up and down. It's really what that is.
Yeah.
So more on top of the throat to being much lower. And that time he missed it. He didn't go low like he did every other time. He stayed high. So it got really airy. Interesting.
I'm not a human.
I'm totally hearing his music coming for those kicks as well.
What the hell?
There's a false chord.
I'm pretty sure this guy knows how to throat sing. Like, he has to. With some of the things he's doing.
So I talked about the low demon speech versus false chord. Not false chord, but sorry. Low demon speech versus fry to make it relax. He's going into this, where he's really, his larynx is so relaxed, which is getting that, yo. I can't do it right now because I keep wanting to go to his pitch and I can't. That, like that. That's about all I know how to do in throat singing, and I'm not practiced in it. But it's a completely relaxed larynx. So instead of using fry, he's actually just chilling out to the max. So he's getting this cross between this tone from throat singing and the false chord, the demon speech.
Yeah.
He's crossing between them. I think we said earlier, like Tatiana from Ginger, how that's how she gets her really low sounds too. That complete relaxation. She has a high tinny voice. It's not going to be I think if she just did a normal false chord scream like we tend to do, that I'm doing it terribly today because I didn't pull into the airtenoids enough. So I know you can do this too, man. But, yeah, see, that's compressed forward. She's not compressing like that. Or not constricting, I should say. It's not the compression. It's constricted. When she screams, it's I can get a lot lower when I do that, but I'm not practicing it. So just go while you're in that false chord scream. See if you can do it. So you're starting to get more tone. And much lower. Very low. Yep.
Still
which I think is more.
I'm very far back.
Yeah. There it is. That's a low tone. I got to get in the false chord first to be able to do that. So that the guys out there that can do false chord, girls that can do false chord, whatever. If you can relax it lower, you can get a lower tone.
Yeah.
But it's like just chilling out as much as possible. So get there first, and then relax it. There it is.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. And I got this weird mix of being in the demon speech versus being totally relaxed. So it ended up just giving me this huge space inside my vocal track, which gave me a really low tone without it being actual singing.
So you're saying that the majority of what he's doing is like basically just false chord engagement, like all throughout the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Switching between that and singing, he's got to be entirely relaxed.
Well, it sounded like for the guitar parts, I was hearing I swear I heard a harmony over that. Maybe I'm smoking something, but I swear I heard a harmony over that.
You're hearing an overtone.
Oh, is that really? Oh my God.
Yes. And there's a couple of reasons for that too. So if I'm just going, if I relax that enough, if I relax into that enough, that distortion turns into a dual tone. And I can't do that on command either. I learned how to do it from Lala Hathaway, or at least listening to Lala Hathaway.
Yeah.
And her self-harmonizing, where she could sing 2 to 3 tones at a time. And I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do that because I want to know how it's actually done.
Yes, please.
And I figured it out. I just can't do it on command because once I figured it out, I'm like, okay, I understand it. I don't need to do that. So I never practiced it. But it's a distortion. She's in such a relaxed, light position that the true chords never fully engage. So you end up with like 2 holes. And they each have a different tone. It's a type of distortion. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. For me, I've practiced distortion so much, that's all it turns into. But you can turn that into an actual tone and get multiple harmonics out of it just because it's not even harmonics. I wouldn't call it that. Multiple openings in the vocal cords. So you're actually singing 2 to 3 tones at once.
Yeah, and I was messing with that. I was like kind of moving the shape around and just noticing the different like sounds and how they would form, and weird. So many weird things that you can do. But I always say, and you're going to agree with me on this, when working on things like this, start in a comfortable place first, what you're comfortable with, and then ease your way down and keep it low mass as you're starting, because especially with false chord engagement, it is really easy to just go way too hard and then just grind the hell out of your throat. And you gotta really be careful and think about the shape and think about, where you're placing those noises.
Start really light. Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth always called it, he hearing him talk about it, he's like, man, I eat the mic. People don't realize how quiet that is. And then over time, you can turn it into a roar. but that may take you 12 years. You know?
Yes.
But even still, the idea I really love that we got out of this too is how to relax to get lower tones, and it's just chilling fuck out.
Yeah. Thank you for calling me out, because like I do have a tendency of over constricting. What are these? Your arytenoid muscles right here.
Yep.
Let's
just say that.
Yeah, I have a
enough.
tendency of really constricting those really hard, maybe a little too hard, and sometimes I need to be reminded to pull that back a little bit.
And you heard that he did that when he lost the tone. He was trying to do those low bass notes, and it was just air because he was closed off in the arytenoids too much.
Yeah,
and it raised everything up. Yeah, so that's cool. You even heard it in his recording. Still cool. I think that still sounded awesome. I love to hear the inconsistencies in the human voice, because he's not a robot. As trained and amazing as he is with his voice, he's not a robot.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to hear him screw up at all, because there was a point where I'm just like, you know what, I quit. I'm done.
Yep.
This guy wins.
Okay, well, I hope people got a lot out of that and are experimenting with different ways of making distortion with their voice now, and even heck, their tongue. It's like, what? It's just white noise.
You tell me, man. I'm listening to all these new artists and just the weird metal vocal Olympics they're doing, and I'm jaw dropped the entire
Well,
time.
can you imagine even in rock, somebody that's using like that guitar solo, like doing stuff like that, and then being able to drop down to like,
no,
where did that come from?
Like,
dude, that would be amazing to see more people do vocal acrobatics like that aren't normal.
definitely, especially if it fits whatever they're actually playing. Like,
it's not showing off.
No, definitely, yeah.
It's gotta fit the music, but if you want to look for a different sound that sets you apart and you enjoy doing that type of stuff, please lean into it. Be cool to have more artists that played with their vocals. What's his name? Johnny from. I don't want to get his name wrong, but from Nothing More.
Oh yeah.
Where he sings and gets vibrato from manually moving his larynx with his fingers.
Well,
like he's
the original SpongeBob voice actor. Like, that's how he would do it. He would be up to the condenser, like,
yeah, using your finger to move the larynx.
And
exactly.
Is that because he naturally can't produce a vibrato? So
I think it's just
too hard.
I think he can.
Yeah.
I think it's more that it gave him such a unique sound. He leaned into it as a brand.
It's actually kind of cool. Like, I sadly fall into that group of people who just have that natural vibrato in their voice, and sometimes it's annoying, especially when you're trying to record. You're like, ah! And you're sitting there going, damn it, I gotta do that take again.
Well, that's something to think about too. So the vibrato Vatang has that is a diaphragmal vibrato, but you can mix that with a laryngeal, or not the laryngeal, with a bleating vibrato. You can mix it with that and get all sorts of different sounds. So the way to do that, and I guess this is a kind of icing on the cake here for this podcast, is if you have a normal vibrato, hey, which tends to be that diaphragmal, really smooth pulses of air, if you move that into the hyoid in the same area we're talking about for the arytenoids, hey, hey, it turns into that, hey, which is getting more and more popular. Hey, like you start to get, I'm not well practiced in that either.
I've heard that in there was a new Bring Me the Horizon song where I heard him doing that, and I was just like, did he put a vibrato effect on his auto-tune? What the hell is that? And then someone told me, like, no, he actually does that. And I guess Post Malone has a habit of doing that.
And the way that people used to do that is slow down the recording, record it normal, speed it back up, and then you have a fast vibrato. But Post Malone made it popular to make that sort of sound without it being bleating. It wasn't like you hear in most Middle Eastern music. Hey, 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 like he's not doing that. It's softer. And I taught it that way for a long time. Hey, where you're trying to soften it up. But I was working on a song, a Muse song, and with another student, and started hearing that vibrato come through a lot, and realized, oh, he's just placing it forward, which he does with a lot of his voice. He's using the hyoid or the arytenoids for stability, pulling the voice forward a little bit. And then when he goes into vibrato, it pulls it from the back into the front. Hey! And you end up with that. So a little topper there for everyone listening. It's not just about distortion. These are all vocal effects and moving the voice around and playing with the positioning of it and seeing what sounds you can make, as long as you're still comfortable and it's not making you cough. You're not pushing, you're not grinding, and you're not doing weird stretches with your larynx that are dangerous. Work into it over time.
Yeah, make sure to do it safely. Make sure you're keeping hydrated, low mass. Don't, nobody's going to be like Alex Terrible in the first run. Like, it's, I don't care what anyone says. It's not happening.
I loved hearing him laugh about that too.
Yeah. My favorite still is when they asked him, like, how'd you get so buff? He's like, I did steroids. What do you think? I was like, thank you.
Okay, so we've talked about multiple Russians today.
Yes.
Dude. Yeah, I wish I had that work ethic for my voice. So that's a lot. And I teach a lot, and I still don't feel like I'm on top of my voice as much as these guys are.
Or maybe they're putting something in the water over there. I don't know.
I think it's also that focus. Like, as teachers, we teach a lot of different things. So we have to focus on overall, what can you do? I don't do false chord screams in my music. I rarely do fry screams in my music, but I teach it all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not specialized in one of these things. I can do all of these things well, but not like at an expert level on most of them.
Yeah.
I have a couple of things I'm at that level with. I can do the other things and understand how they work. And if you can practice them, once you learn them and you focus in on very particular things, they get easy, which is what you're hearing with Vatang's really low throat singing versus false chord, that really relaxed false chord that he's doing for the low tones.
Yeah.
That takes time. And the switching back and forth, that took him a lot of time, I guarantee it. Or Alex Terrible's brutal, low-end, loud roars, that took him 12 years.
Yeah.
He focused on that. Oh, yeah. I don't want to keep everybody, but yeah, if you guys want help with this and want to experiment and get feedback from it, join the Rock Singing Success community. It's in the link below on school.com, skool.com/Rock Singing Success. And maybe I can convince Chris to get in there too if you guys are asking questions. So Chris, really quick, since I'm bringing you on as a teacher here as well, and you're a Rock Singing Success or rock vocal technique certified teacher, what's your website?
My website is metalvoicelessons.com.
Cool. And you're up in the Seattle area and teach online as well, right?
Yes, I do. I teach various different metal vocal techniques and a lot of rock singing techniques, mostly contemporary techniques.
Sweet. All right. So hope you guys check him out as well and ask questions. We're happy to help.
All right, everybody have a good one.